Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in. Today, we're going to be looking at VeChain, its valuations against Ethereum. Looping back on the previous video that I made about VeChain, that it's time to pay attention to this asset. Remember, if you do like this video and the other videos that I make on this channel, be sure to hit the like button down below and also consider subscribing. So, for me, when trying to navigate markets, including VeChain and its pairing with Ethereum, we try to identify patterns and trends within the market that we can easily take advantage of. Not necessarily saying it's easy, but something that we can try to take advantage of. And when taking advantage of something, you want to maximize your ROI with the least amount of risk, right? What's the point of, trying to invest in something that can give you, a high ROI, but the risk is so extremely high that it's just not worth it. It's not worth the risk, obviously. So how do we try to mitigate this? So one thing is you can look into altcoins. Altcoins will give you a higher ROI than say Bitcoin, right? Because Bitcoin is a 1 trillion over $1 trillion market cap. It needs a lot more capital than say basic attention token does to move up in price. And so that is something to take into consideration. You can find a lower market cap coin because that will theoretically net you a higher return or a potential of netting you a higher return. The second thing is how do you reduce risk? Well, there are many ways you can reduce risk. You can, depending on how much money you put in relative to your portfolio. So putting $1 into an asset where your portfolio is $100,000, the risk is relatively low. Meaning, if something bad happens to that asset, it doesn't necessarily affect your entire portfolio that much. In comparison to say the same amount for a portfolio and putting in 50 grand right into that asset, the risk it shoots up even higher. The second thing that you can do is to when reducing risk is to just buy at a lower price, buy at relative lower prices. Now that's easier said than done, right? If we're looking at Bitcoin, buying at $800, the risk is extremely low, but compared to say $55,000 US. At the same time, is Bitcoin ever going to go to $900? Are you going to wait until Bitcoin goes back to $900? Of course you're not, because with that example, it's a little extreme, but it proves the point that, yeah, the risk is relatively low, but what are the chances, right? So it is juggling, um, this juggling period that you do with these three factors with any asset you might have in conjunction with your portfolio. So with VeChain we see that the price is relatively low. Okay, that's one in comparison to recent highs. It is comparatively low. At the same time, VeChain is an altcoin. It's rank 20, so it should net you a higher return than the top 10 cryptocurrencies over time. And B, we're at our lows are consistent. Okay, our lows are consistent, and this helps greatly because it becomes more easier to anticipate drops in a range that you'll know of, right? We're not talking about a $900 Bitcoin here. We're talking about the VeChain Ethereum chart. And with that said, the risk on this chart is the lowest when it comes into this range. Why? Because A, it's the lowest point of the V Ether chart, so it can net you the highest return, the maximum, net you the highest, potential return on this asset in comparison to Ether. In addition, it is at this range where VeChain is likely to rally against Ethereum, which reduces risk. Risk could also mean time holding it. There's the great adage of time in the market beats timing the market, which is true. But if you're holding altcoins, in my opinion, if you're holding altcoins, depending on the altcoin, and the majority of everyone's altcoins are the ones I'm going to be referring to now, it's assets that you don't necessarily want to hold for too long. Because if you hold it throughout the cycle, well, odds are if you're buying at 11 cents and say it goes up to 60 cents or something, and then the market crashes for Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency market, we know what crashes can do. We saw uh, VeChain go from 2 cents all the way to if you take the March crash, 0.00171 cents, or here at 0.00352 cents. Um, so with that said, you'd want to play a game of kind of hot potato with assets, and that's what I treat with VeChain. As soon as it rallies up to the upper reaches of the chart, I start selling back into Ethereum. Um, so yeah, I like to be more involved in the markets than maybe someone who's just buying to hold long term, because you can make the argument that says, look, VeChain, most likely, along with other assets, are trending up over time. And over time, meaning years, right? We're talking about over like possibly a decade. The odds are is that they're going to continue to trend up. If we look at Bitcoin for the past 10 years, it has been trending up, and not even the like the Bitcoin crashes come back to the previous levels of the cycle. It's never happened like that before, and most likely will continue to do so until for the foreseeable future. So to sum it up, VeChain is coming in at a very important target against Ethereum, in my opinion. It's something that I've been looking for quite a number of weeks, and I think I in my previous video, it's time to pay attention, and now I'm looking to accumulate. I am in the process of buying my first position in a long time at this level, and if it keeps on going lower, then I continue to buy. My anticipation is that maybe it could it doesn't necessarily have to go back down to this level, but considering we're finally past the like we're at the lowest point that we were since February of 2021, I think it's a pretty good area to start buying. My position is not going to be big. However, if it does go lower, the single buys that I'll be doing is going to get bigger. So there is that. I also know, okay, as a scenario, if I do buy here and it continues to go lower, that it could potentially go as low as 32. Like I'll lose 32% valuation on this asset before it gets any better. And I'm willing to stomach that. 32% is fine for me. And so that's why I would, buy here. In comparison to say maybe up here where VeChain once was, and that would be a 54% move over a longer period of time, potentially. So with that, um, I think this is a good place to buy. This is where I'm buying or beginning to buy, and we'll let this ride. Another thing to keep in mind is the RSI. The RSI is getting relatively low. We're only at 38.61, so it's not necessarily oversold territory, but we do have this rising line of support off of the RSI. So as we can see here, we can see these bounces, and each bounce corresponds to this rally against Ethereum, which makes it pretty simple. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm quite excited on this asset, and I am willing to readjust my portfolio in order to fit this asset in. VeChain has done very well for me in the last rally, and it's something that I'm more than welcome to have in my portfolio, and willing to cut other assets. Say removing them entirely or reducing my position in those to create a sizable position in VeChain. That's just my opinion. Yours might be a little different, but I think it's around the time where I am looking at my assets, some of these assets, and kind of questioning, is the size, uh, you know, reflective on what I think the asset is. Ergo, do I have too much money in this asset? Is it increasing my risk? Am I getting a little too much exposure to this risk? And if you answer the question yes, then it's time to desize, readjust, readjust your portfolio until you feel comfortable with it. Anyway, that's all for today, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye bye.